Hello everyone. So I just participated into CodeChef Starters 10 and it this time it was rated for both Div 2 and Div 3. So I participated in Div 2 and I solved three problems. So first two were like quite easy. Third was a little bit tricky. So I will be discussing the approach that I used for solving these three problems. Actually the CodeChef like the starters is yet to finish in 6 minutes, but I will be uploading this videos after the contest, so I have started making it now. So first of all, let us see what this problem is. So basically in this problem, chef has an array which has an integers, and the integers of the array can be positive, negative, and even zero. And chef allows us to choose at most k elements of the array and multiply them with -1. So we need to find the maximum sum of a subsequence we can obtain if we choose the elements of the subsequence optimally. So as we can see that to maximize the sum of a subsequence, we should only select the positive numbers. So like what we will be doing, we will select first of all the positive numbers, and then we can like try to choose k elements among the negative elements negative numbers and minimize multiply them with -1. So if the negative numbers are less than k, then we will only multiply those numbers with k, and if the number of negative numbers are greater than k, then we will choose the like the lowest k numbers among them, because like uh, by lowest I mean like we will be choosing -10 instead of -7, because -10 when multiplied with -1 will give us 10, and -7 when multiplied with -1 will give us 7. So basically we will be sorting these negative numbers in ascending order, and then choosing the first k elements out of them for multiplying -1 and then adding them to sum. So let us take a look to the constraints. So basically n is less than equal to 10 to the power 5, and the ranges of the AI is up to minus, like from -10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 4. So the sum should fit in integer range, but I used long int for being safe. So let us try to see an example. In this in this array, we are allowed to make two elements. We are allowed to multiply two elements with -1. So for optimal answer, like we will be multiplying -10 and -4 with -1, and then adding 6, 10, 4 and 2. So this 4 and 2 will become 6, and 6 plus 6 is 12, and 12 plus 10 is 22. So the answer is 22. Here we are not allowed to make a multiply any element with -1. So like for maximum, like the maximum answer will come if we will not choose any element, because all the elements are negative. And here we are allowed to multiply three elements with -1, but since all the elements are already positive, we want to be multiplying any element with -1, since it will decrease the score. So 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. So now let us take a look to the implementation. So this was what I submitted during the contest. So first I am taking a vector for positive numbers, then I am taking the vector for negative numbers, and here I am reading the test cases. Now I am solving all the test cases. So first I am making sure that I clear the positive and negative vector before each test case to remove all the numbers that were present after solving a previous test case. Then I am reading the n and k. So n is basically the number of elements, and k is the maximum number of elements we are allowed to multiply with -1. Then I am taking each number, and I am checking whether that number is positive. So if that number is positive, I am like inserting it into positive vector. And actually that this thing was not necessary. You can you can just sum that number, like you can take this sum variable for storing the maximum sum, and we can just add this number here. We won't need to store it into positive vector. And if that number is negative, we are is pushing back into the negative vector. And if the number is 0, like we are doing nothing, because that 0 won't affect our sum. So after that, we are taking all the numbers present inside the positive vector and summing it. And then we are sorting this negative vector and taking the first k first k negative numbers and multiplying them with -1 and then summing it. So we need to make sure that we are using this minimum of k a comma negative dot size, because it it may be possible that this negative may be containing less than k numbers. So that's why. And then I am outputting this sum. So this problem was quite straightforward. So now we can take a look to the second problem. The second problem, the Alice has got an array A, and it has got some n distinct integer. Basically, all the integers are different. No integer is same. And Bob takes exactly n minus 1 elements from the array, and he adds a positive integer x to the n minus 1 elements and make another array of the length n minus 1. So we will be given both array A and B, and now we need to identify the value of x which was chosen by the Bob. And just in case there are multiple possible values of x, we need to print the smallest of them. And it has been guaranteed that there exists at least one possible value of x. So, and since the output is large, prefer using fast input method. So we can see that input, for every test cases, we will first be given n the length of the array A, and then n integers of the array first array, n minus 1 integers for the second array that the Bob constructed, and we need to output the value of x. So seeing the constraints, we can see that the n is less than equal to 10 to the power 5. So n log n, or n solution, order n solution, will be able to pass the test cases. And we can't use any order n squared solution here. So if order n squared solution will be allowed, it will be very easy to consider all the cases, all the possibilities of the number that was not taken, and subtract it to check whether these n minus 1 elements were possible or not. So let us take a look to the example. So in the example, input one, there are three cases, three cases, and first test case is like this. In this, there was element one, there was an array 1, 4, 3, and 8, and the second array that was constructed by the Bob was 15, 8, 11. So the answer of it will be 7. So it will be possible if this one was taken, and this 4 was taken, and this 8 was taken. So these all of these were multiplied, added with 7 to to form 8, form 11, and form 15. And here it only 7 was possible here. And here there were 4 and 8 initially, and Bob said that he has an array containing element 10. So the answer is 2. So for the answer, he took 8 and then added x equal to 2 to make this. So he could have also taken this and added 6 to this. But since 2 is less than 6, we will be returning answer 2, because in the problem it was mentioned that if there are multiple values of x possible, then we need to input only the lowest value of x. And here also like there are two elements initially, and Bob is constructing an array with element 3. So the possibility of 4 being taken is like eliminated, because the x can only be a positive number, so 4 cannot be added with a positive number to make 3. So here only possibility is that 2 was taken and 1 was added to give 3. So now move to the approach of the problem. So there are like three major. So this is the code that I submitted during the contest. So let us take a look what I have done. So I will first telling you the approach. So first let's understand this, the basic part, like first input part. So basically I have used the two array. The first array is for the initial array, and this array is for storing the the array that Bob has constructed. I'm reading t test cases and solving these t test cases, and then I have taken the input, and this is basically storing the input in array AR and BRR. And now I am sorting these two arrays, and I'm first handling this n equals to 2, because this is the only case in which multiple x is possible. So I will be showing you guys how it is, but first let us understand. So here there is possibility that this AR0 and AR1. So out of this AR0 and AR1 were one element was taken to give us the BR0. Since is equal to 2, only one element will be given as output. So there is possibility that this element was chosen or this element was chosen. So since this has been now sorted in ascending order, this element will be higher, right? And if we will choose this x, then obviously this will give us lesser x than this element will give us. So it may be possible that the x required to make this convert this element into this element will be negative. So in that case we will be using this element, and if it comes out positive, then obviously this is the lowest x. So that is what I have done. I first checked whether the BRR0 is greater than AR1. So if that is the case, then I am outputting that x, and if that is if it is negative, so in that case I am taking the difference of these two elements, AR0 and BR0, and outputting that. And now let us consider the general case when n is greater than 2. So in that case there are three, suppose yeah, suppose that this AR was initially A comma B comma C comma D, and this BR is now, so I am assuming that both of them are sorted. So let it be E, F, and G. So let us add some more elements. It can be U, V. So we know that while like Bob, like Bob left one element, and he out of this element, Bob has not taken one element, and he has added X to all the elements to to construct this array. So this one element that he skipped may be the first element, it may be the last element, and it may be some element in between. So just in case he has like he has skipped a element in the between, then the difference between these two elements will be equal to these two elements. And so I'm basically checking that. So the first thing we will be checking is, so yeah, so I let me explain what is this. And so there are three things. First is that when the element that is skipped is present in between. So, and one case is that when the element skipped is present is the first element, and third case is the element that is skipped is present is the last element. So yeah, sorry for one point that the multiple cases are only possible for n equals to 2. No, like multiple cases are also present in this general case when n is greater than 2, and we will be seeing when. So first of all, like since all the elements are distinct, if there is like a if we can see that the difference between these first and last element is equal to this two elements, then we can surely say that this the element that has been skipped is present here. And like let me show you guys why we can surely say this. Because suppose like the element skipped was this, right? So in that case, the all these elements or elements will be added by x to construct this element. So in that case, the difference between like the first and last element of this new array will be the difference between the some element here and some element here. They won't be like this won't be a difference between the first and last element, because the element was the element skipped was not in between, right? And they if the difference will be some the difference between not the first and last element will be if it will be a difference between this, then it will be obviously smaller than the difference between first and last element. But we can now see that the difference between the first and last element of this array is equal to this the difference between first and last element of this array. So that obviously means that this is the like these two elements correspond to the first and last element of this array. So this is the case when the element skipped was in the between. So if the difference between this the first and last element of this array is equal to this first and last elements of this array, then we can surely say that the x yeah, so x can be easily found by dividing, like subtracting this minus this. So this is what I have done. So I have just checked whether the differences of the first and last element is same or not. So I have just like subtracted the first element of the second array minus with the first element of the first array, right? And the next case is when either the first element has been skipped or last element has been skipped. So like if if we will check the condition that difference between this and this is equal to this and this, then we can't surely say that this is the like if the differences are same, that we can't be sure to say that only the first element was skipped. Because if the if all the differences between these corresponding elements will be same, then the difference between this and this will be equal to difference between this and this also. So all these elements can be added with a x to form this, and all these elements can be added with another x to form this. So in which uh, in which case the x will be lower. Obviously, when these all elements will be added to make this x, make this element, right? So we would first check for this condition, like if this is like if the difference between the second and last element is equal to the first and last element of this array or not. So this is what I have done. I have basically taken the difference between these to for to calculate a possible x, and I have also checked whether the differences between all of these them are same or not. So if just in case this x is greater than 0 and the differences are all same, then there is a possible x for which these all these elements can be formed into this, right? And even if even if these all these four elements can be made into this, the x that will be that will you be used to make all these elements equal to this will be lower, because all these elements are greater than all these starting elements. So in that, just in case this valid is true, so I have basically checked whether the all the differences between all these elements are same or not. If differences between all these elements is same, then this valid will be true. So I have just checked whether this valid is true and difference of the second and last element is same or not. So in that case, I am just taking the first element of the second array and second element of the first array and subtracting it to give the x. So yeah, so in this case, we can't say that there is only one x, but if this is true, then this x will be the answer, because even if there will be multiple x's, the another x this will be the smaller x. And if if the first case and second case is not true, then the question says that there is at least one x, that the inputs guarantee that there is at least one x. So we can obviously say that if there isn't any, the skipped element is not in present in the between, or if a skipped element is not the first element, then obviously the skipped element is the last element. So we can again multiply any two, we can multiply the first element of these or these to get the answer. So I have just subtracted this first element of this and first element of this to output the answer. So this is the second problem, and let us take a look to the third problem. So third problem was little bit trickier. So in this problem, a chef has found n magical cards in his drawer, and each card has a number written on each of its faces. So he places all the, so basically there are n cards, and these n numbers are present on the front face of the card, and these n numbers are present on the back face of the card. And chef can choose some cards and flip them, and then he will calculate the bitwise end. So we need to find the maximum bitwise end possible after flipping some cards, and the minimum number of cards he need to flip to achieve this value. So let us take a look to the input format. So there will be n test cases, and then this n, and then these n numbers symbolizing the front faces, and these n symbolizing the back faces. And we need to return the maximum bitwise and possible and the number of minimum flips. So the most important thing are the constraints. So the n can be less than equal to 10 to the power 5, and the sum of n over all test cases does not exceed 10 to the power 5. So we can say that order n or n log n will be able to pass the test cases, or it's a it is a yeah. So we can also since log n symbolize the number of bits in the binary format, so obviously n into 30 or n into 31 will also be able to pass test cases. But yeah, and order and squared and something like that won't be able to pass the test cases. So we can see that the elements present are like a 31 bit, like they can be stored in 31 bit, they can also be stored in 30 bit number. So let us take a look to the sample input one. So here the maximum bitwise and possible is 2, and it will be possible if we will, if the if for the this number for 262, and it will be possible if we will flip this first card, and we will keep this second card same, and we will flip the third card. And here like the maximum and possible is like 0, we can't achieve any number greater than 1. And here also the maximum bitwise and is possible is 2, and it can be flip, like it can be made possible by flipping minimum number of 2 cards. So let us take a look, let us try to understand how to solve this problem. So yeah, so this is the, no, this is not. So this is the code for that problem, and let us try to understand the approach which we will be using. So like suppose like the number is of something like this. So we all know that if the resultant number formed after taking the bitwise AND of all the numbers have to be maximized, then we can try to put we can try to form one on the like rightmost bit, because the rightmost bit has got the more value. So even if there is a bit 1 here, and there is a 0 bit 0 everywhere to the left on the right. Sorry. I need to say that we need to, if we want to maximize the bitwise AND, we need to form one on the leftmost instead of rightmost. So because the leftmost bit has got the maximum value, and even if there is one here and zero everywhere to the right, this number is will be greater than a number which will have one everywhere to the right and zero here. So our we will be using a greedy approach, and that greedy approach will be to form one if possible. If there is any way to make to form one here, we will try to make form one here by flipping every card. So, and if flipping is not necessary, we won't be flipping because we need to return the minimum flips. So the approach will be to first yeah, let me explain what these data structures are, what these variables are. So this is basically for storing the front faces of the cards, initial front faces, and this is for storing the back faces. And I have used this vector, and it is basically for storing weather. So I am using a boolean vector of 31 bits. So basically it will symbolize whether for a particular bit we have achieved the making one in the resultant and bitwise AND or not. So just in case this locked is true for some bit, that means that we have found a way to form one at that bit. We have found a way to set that bit in the resultant bitwise AND, and this is for storing which of the card has been flipped, and this is basically for storing which card we can flip without altering the previous bit. So basically we will be trying to form one here. If it will be possible to form one, we will form one here. then we will try to form one here without disturbing the previous ones. So like while trying to form one here, if we are flipping some cards, we need to make sure that by flipping those cards, the one present here, like present in the final bitwise end, is not disturbed. So I have used this vector, Boolean vector, to to store whether we can flip some card without affecting the previous result. So just in case this valid flip is true for some card, then we can safely flip that card. So this valid flip will be calculated for every bit. So it will be calculated for this bit, and this bit, and we will be using the previous resultant bit, and the values of the back faces to find this. So we will be having a look to how I have done this. So first of all, I am setting all the locked to false, and locked means basically that if that bit has been set one or not. So I have used the term locked because if that bit has been set one, like we need to be careful while flipping a card, because if we are flipping a card, then the card before flipping and the card after that will be get after flipping, then both the cards should have set bit at the at the bit where for which this locked I equal to true. So that is why I have used lock. So basically after flipping there shouldn't be any changes at the locked bits, and I am setting flipped I equal to false because because the cards are not flipped initially, and valid flip has been set true initially because like we are allowed to flip each card. And in the start, I have taken the input for the front face and back face, and now I am starting from bit equal to 30. So seeing the constant bit equal to 29 would also be okay, but yeah, taking bit equal to 30 won't be a problem. So at first, I'll be calculating whether make we can it is possible whether it is possible to form set bit at the that position in the resultant bitwise end or not. So first of all, this variable is has been set to true. Now I'll be iterating over all the cards. So if the bit is not last bit, so I am using this last bit thing because to check whether the flip is valid or not, we are taking help of the previous bit. So if the bit is last bit, we don't have any previous bit. So if there is it is not the last bit, then we need to check whether the last bit is locked or not. So if the last bit has been locked, so if the last bit has been locked, and if this bit if the card that has the card on the back side has not got set bit on that locked position, then we are setting this valid flip equal to false because we can't flip it. So after doing this, so let us try to check whether it is possible or not. So this is more or doing pre-processing or something for using it in this step. So the reason why I'm checking for only the last bit, because this thing will be done for every bit. So for the previous bit, other than bit plus one, it has been already been calculated. So it has already, if it was not possible for some bit, then it has been already been set false. So yeah, so we were checking whether it is possible or not to form set bit in the resultant and bitwise end or not. So just in case that this card has been already flipped, so in this solution we are flipping the card only when it is like necessary. So just in case we don't need to flip that card for maximizing the score, we are not flipping it. So if if this card has been flipped, then we can't unflip it, because if we'll unflip that card, this will this will affect the previous bits that we have formed. So we are not allowed to flip like unflip a card, because that card was crucial in forming one at some higher bid. So if that card has been flipped, then we'll be checking the back face, because that face is now the front face. So if that back face is not set, then we can't form one at this bit. So we'll be setting possible equal to false here, and we may also break, but while implementing the solution, I forgot to put break here. So yeah, and else if it this that card has not been flipped, then we'll be checking whether the front face has got the set bit at that position or not. If that has got set bit at that position, then there is no problem. And if that has not got set bit at that position, then we'll be checking whether the back face has got set bit or not. So if this back face has got set position, then we are checking something, and I will take it later. And if that back face has not got a set bit, then we are marking possible at false. And if the back face has got the set bit, then we are checking whether can we are allowed to flip that card or not. So if that card cannot be flipped, so I told you already earlier that by being able to flip a card, we are allowed to flip a card means flipping that card without affecting the previous solution. So just in case that flipping that card is affecting our previous solution, we won't flip that card, and so in that case we will be marking possible as false. So after going through all the cards, if the possible will be true, then it is possible to form set bit at that position. So in that case we will be locking that bit, and so that we want to distort this answer up for the lower bits while processing the lower bit. And this lock bit will also be helpful while calculating the final maximum end. And we are going through each card, and if some card has not been flipped, so if it is already flipped, then if it is possible to construct answer, then obviously the flipped face has got a one at that place. And if that card has not been flipped, then we'll be checking whether the front face has got no, if that card hasn't been flipped, then we'll be checking whether the first front face has set bit or not. So if that front face has set bit, then we won't be flipping it. And if the front face has not got set bit, then we will mark flipped equal to true, because we need to flip to make a to form one in the final and bitwise end. So while doing all this thing, we will have the we will have the boolean array for locked bits, and using them we can construct the answer. So I am like a first marking answer equal to 1 or 0 for the locked 30 bit, and like I am doing just multiplying each previous answer into 2. So basically this is the same binary concept, to construct the binary two decimal value from a from its binary representation. We just need to keep multiplying 2, and just in case we are encountering one, we need to increment it. So this will basically give us the maximum bitwise end, or basically the decimal representation of the binary number. And using the flipped boolean array, we are calculating the total number of flips. So we just need to output the answer and the number of flips for this problem. So this will give you easy for this problem. So thank you guys. Like I really enjoyed this, like this contest. Yeah, I like it was, I was not able to solve these three problems, but yeah, thanks for attending.